Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, I thought about doing something interesting. So what I'll try to do, I'll take one of the class C IP address, okay, and this is gonna be my VNet. And in that virtual network, I will need 8 different subnets, okay, and I'm gonna implement that in Azure. And while we do that, we're going to learn quickly, how to do the subnetting, at least for the class C. Once you learn this concept, you can apply this to other level of subnets as well. Okay, so this may look like really crazy, but this is really something simple that helps me a lot uh, when I'm doing my subnet work. So what it is really, so the way I create this table, I just write 1, then 2, and then double it, 4, then 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. Then I write the same numbers in reverse order at the bottom. So now the 1 will come back over here, then 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. Next thing that I do, I just add these numbers as I go along. So 128, the next one is 128 plus 64 is 192. So the next one would be 224, then 240, then 240 plus 8, 248, 248 plus 4, 252, 250 plus 2 is 254, and the last one, if you add 1, it comes to 255. And these are really the way I have it. These are for the octets. So these are the binaries that in IP address there are 4 octets, so 8 bits in divided into 4 different places. There is no real dot, although in IP address we write it like 192.168, but in real world there is no dot. Okay, so there are 32 bits in total. We divide that so we can do the math easily. So first of all, in this subnet, okay, 192.168.10/24, that means uh, if I look at the subnet mask, if it's 24, that means I have a total of 32 subnet mask available to me. 24 of them are full, so we always start at the left, so you just keep one every bit of it. Okay, so you just keep adding, and then so this is 8 plus 8 plus 8, so that makes your 24. And here really all of these bits, they are 0 to begin with. So your subnet mask for this is 255.255.255 0. Okay, so and how many addresses do we have available? So if everything is 0, you have the whole 256 addresses available, so 0 to 255 IP addresses that you can assign to this particular network, right? So at least I want you guys to kind of think what how to create at least this much. Okay, write down 1 2 4 8 16 32 64 128, then write it in reverse, and then I'll explain what this is at the top. uh, and then what if you have at least this much, okay, so you are good to start. So let's go back to Azure, and we'll go over here, and in Azure we're gonna try to create a virtual network. So all we want to do at this time, we're gonna select a subscription, okay, and then a resource group. I'm just gonna create a new one, test VNet RG. I'm gonna provide a name for my virtual network, VNet C1, and then I'm gonna create the IP address. So by default, Azure just gives you something, and if you look at this one, the default one, if I am using a CIDR notation where I'm only filling out uh, 16 subnet mask, then I have a lots of address available. So in that space, in that virtual network, I could have 65,536 addresses available to me, but I don't want that much. I just need a smaller network. And what I said, I'm gonna use 192.168.1.1024. That is gonna be my subnet. So let's come back over here and paste that one. So once you paste this one, it says that yeah, this is a good IP address space. That's all fine. So if you click outside, uh, a lot of time it will tell you how many addresses are in there. Okay, so it didn't tell you anything. Okay, so if I click on the next box now, if you look at the top line 192.168.10/24, it's telling you that you can have 192.168.1.0 could be the first IP address, and it will range up to 192.168.1.255. So there are 256 addresses. That is the total address space. Now this is also telling me that hey, this virtual network does not have any subnet. So this is basically one big virtual network. So what you can do, you can make, let's see, 192.168.1.0.24. So this sorry, so this is I'm just gonna call it big subnet. So let me try this over here. So if I want to use the everything of that virtual network as part of my subnet, I can use 192.168.1.0/24. Okay, so what it is telling me, I'm gonna have a big subnet, so there is no division. Okay, I'm just gonna have one subnet, and in this big subnet I'm gonna have 251 addresses available to me. Why 251? In each subnet, Azure actually reserves 5 IP addresses for their own use. But if you create one subnet, then it's a problem if you need boundaries. If you want to implement security and you want to segregate your larger network IP address space into smaller segment, you can do that. So a requirement now is, okay, you have this big space where we know now that this space got 256 IP addresses. We want to break them into 8 different subnets so we can apply different security boundaries. Now how to do that? So that is why this line is now becomes important. So what I have here, so once you have written this, okay, and then written it in reverse, what is this telling you? This is the number of divisions. So if you have a 256 and you divide that whole space one time, so now you're gonna have two different subnet, each subnet having 200 128 IP addresses, right? So 2 multiplied by 128 is going to give you 256. Now you take this, okay? If you divide that again, so you already had two spaces, now you will divide them equally. So now you are going to have 4 different subnets, each having 64 addresses, right? So if you multiply 64 multiplied by 4, you get again 256. But now we are only up to 4 subnets, but we need to get to 8 subnets. So you take your 4 subnets and then again you equally divide them in the middle. So now you get to 16. Now you get to get to this point, this bit. So you take one another bit. So every time you are taking one bit, really you are dividing another time. So first time you take one bit. Actually I should discuss this over here because this is the area, this is the 256 that you are trying to divide. So here you take one bit. So here up to here you have 8 plus 8 plus 8, so 24 bit. So if you take 20, 24, 25 bit, that means you are dividing into one segment. If you go to the next bit, okay, next bit, so you take this bit as well. Now you have divided your network into 4 segments. You have taken another bit. Now you have got 8 different subnets. They're all equal in size. So if you do that you know now really your subnet mask has become 255.255.255.224. In a CIDR notation, you would write 255.255.255 slash sorry, you say you're gonna write 192.168.10 slash, you're gonna pick up three more bits, so 24 plus 3 is 27. So let's now come back over here. Hope this is not too confusing. What I would recommend that you write down these numbers, think in your head and do it. Let's go back to Azure. So we said this is my larger space, and we said we're gonna start with address space. CID notation will be 27. So what is going to be my first network? Okay, the first network is again going to be, instead of 24 we're going to have 27, so that will start. So now it's telling me I'm going to have 27 plus 5, 32 IP addresses in there, 27 usable and 5 reserved for the Azure. So this is going to be my first subnet. So instead of big subnet, I'm going to name it the subnet 1. Okay, then hit add. So I got one subnet. Another thing I wanted to explain, so over here, if you look at this division, so when you have 8 number of subnets, how many IP addresses are there and available? So that is 32. So your increment of your subnet will go by 32. So what it will do, so it's gonna start at 0. So you have 192.168.1.0, and then you had slash 27, right? That's where you were starting. So the next one is gonna be 0 plus 32. Okay, so everything else is gonna remain the same. The next one is gonna be again 32 plus 32. So, and we are gonna continue until we get to 256. So we can only go up to that point, right? And if you notice, so how many divisions we got? So let's just copy this one as well and just put it in there, and copy this one as well. Copy this one as well. Oops, sorry, copy this one and just populate this. All right, so I need to put one more. Copy this one and put it there. So what is not changing is your network portion. Okay, so this does not change at all. Okay, so and if you want to create, how do you get to 192? So over here, okay, 192, so you can make all of that 0 0 0 first to begin with. And the beauty of it, since I added all that, I know that if I turn on these two bits, this is gonna be 192. Okay, and over here I have 168. So 168 means I have to turn 120. Let me make this 0 again. So 0 0 0 0 0 0. So now I got 128. I need to go to 160, 168. So if I turn this one on, it will be too much. So let's try this one. So that brings me to 160. I need a little bit more to get to 168. So let's turn, but I can't turn on 16, that would be too much. Let's turn on this one. So that's about it. So for the network, so this is how you are deriving your binary. So this is a quick and dirty way to get to the binaries. There are better ways though, but I like this way. Okay, then one is you just make everything 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. So now you have 192.168.1. So that is your the network portion of it. The subnets are all filled over here, and each subnet, the subnet that I'm creating for this one, for the whole slash 24, I'm breaking into 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and the last one, it's actually you can't have that one. So so we already created this one. Let's create the next one in Azure. So let's go back. So let's try. So now this one is gonna be subnet 2 and 192.168.1.32/27, and again it's gonna tell you 32 addresses. That sounds good. Excuse me. Third one is subnet 3, 192.168.1.64/27, again 32. Add another one for subnet 4, 192.168.1. If you add 32, what do I get? I get 96, 96/27. So that's, I got 4. I need to add 4 more. So let's do 192.168.1 dot, what do we have? We have 128/27, and here sorry, this is gonna be the name of it. Excuse me. Sub file. Here notice one thing. So if I make a mistake, so in my additions, if I say instead of 128 I did 118, Azure is not going to let you do that, because it's going to tell you, hey, this subnet address prefix is actually part of the previous one that you have defined, and that is true. So you cannot have that one. Okay, use something else. So you need to fix that. So this is a really good way to practice your subnetting skill in Azure, because you cannot make a mistake once you start doing this kind of stuff. So subnet 5 is now added. Then subnet 6, what will do? 128 plus 32 should give you 160. And add, and then I'm just doing my math in my head now. Subnet 7, so let's come. So we already had 160s. 160 plus 32 is 192. Okay. Add. And the last one that I need is going to be sub 8 and best, and 192 plus 32 should give me 224. And again, I have added 8 subnets, and I cannot really add anything else in this space. If every subnet is equally divided, everyone got 32 IP addresses. In each of them, 5 of the IP addresses are actually assigned to Azure. So by dividing into this way, I'm actually wasting 5 times 8, so 40 IP addresses in that small IP address range. So keep that in mind when you are creating your subnets and how many subdivisions you want for a smaller subnet. So let's go to security. So I just don't want to do anything in here. Go to tags. I don't need anything. Hit create, and it's running the final validation. And once the validation is done, you will be able to hit the create button, and you should be able to create this. Okay, so that's about it. Now what I'll say that this table, I would recommend that you do it again. So the way you start, so you actually start, you can start either way. So let's maybe do 128, then 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. Okay, now reverse it. So we'll go 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, then 32, then 64, then 128. So if I need so in total I have 256. So if I want, so division would be, if I divide my whole address space by one time, each division will have 128 IPs, and so here your number of subnet so is going to be 2. So if you divide 2 again another time, so now you will have 4 number of subnets. In here your your number of IPs is going to be 64. So then if you divide this IP space again, so now you already had 4, you divide them equally. If you have 8 of them, each one is gonna get 32. So think this in your mind, in your head. So once you reached to that number, so you know that you have 8 subnets and each one got 32. Do another math in your mind. So do 8 multiplied by the number of IPs. Make sure it matches the total number of IPs available to you, if you are dividing it equally, of course. So do that, and be comfortable doing this IP subnetting with class C. And in the next video we'll come back and we'll continue our journey learning more about IP address space and how you subnet using Azure. Have fun learning some basic networking. Thank you. If you like the video, please give me a like, subscribe for more videos. Have a great day.